Morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's edition of the MPC Markets Morning Call, 3rd of September 2025. Tariff uncertainty gives stocks a nervous start to September. So despite there being no real announcements overnight, the market's getting a little bit nervous again about Trump tariffs, etc. And there was some a US appeals court ruled that most of the levies were illegal. That only Congress has the authority to impose the duties. So Trump's now vowed to seek an expedited Supreme Court review. The administration's confident that they will side with President Trump because from his last presidency was obviously he'd stacked the Supreme Court there. But obviously a little bit of nervousness there in the US. We had the Dow down 0.5, the S&P down 0.7, the NASDAQ down 0.8. The Russell down 0.5. Bond yields headed a little bit higher. I'm actually pretty impressed with the Russells, how the Russell survived quite well overnight. As you can see, Euro stocks down here 1.4. We did see the US markets a lot lower in the European session, probably down about 1.5% actually in the NASDAQ overall. Starting to see these technicals turn a little bit, particularly the Dow and the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's now a strong sell, but also neutral in the neutral on the daily, which is and we're starting to switch back to only being a buy, not a strong buy in a lot of these indexes that were technically a strong buy on all three metrics. Really for the last month, maybe 2 months, to be brutally honest. Not much in terms of corporate news. There's some small ones overnight, really. Not too much movement there. Salesforce is out tonight along with HP, which should be fairly big. You got Lululemon and Broadcom tomorrow. Some manufacturing numbers in the States tonight, but no other real economic data until Friday, which is looming pretty large, that payrolls number on Friday night. And I think it'll be that number should really probably decide the fate of September overall. A weak number will certainly put those rate cuts back on the table, but a really bad number will we'll probably see the market head lower as we sit at pretty overvalued levels here at the moment. So on the monetary policy front, Wall Street's now sort of split on whether we're going to get a September rate cut. Inflation's still showing just persistent pressures overall, and so that's what really worries me about this payrolls number now, with the Bureau of Labor and Statistics very much on notice from President Trump. I dare say the revisions that have been happening in the past will be on spec brought forward, and because that at least gives them an excuse to get those rates down. So the surge in yields is not going to help the market here at the moment. Overall, I think we saw long end bond yields head up higher than most, and the short end as well. So not a great start to September. We do have seasonal weakness. There is a lot of people talking about this seasonal weakness. So I'd be very surprised if we got a significant fallback in the market. I'm pretty bearish overall, as anyone who's watched any of these podcasts knows, but it doesn't tend to have a significant move when everyone's really prepared for it. We are still in the greed sort of area for overall for the CNN Fear and Greed Index. So but we don't tend to have those sharp turnarounds or pivot points until we're in the extreme greed area. And we did have a little bit of a spike in volatility overnight. Silver and gold continued their run. Gold finished at 3,600 for the first time in history last night. Silver still on a bit of a tear, nearing $42. I don't think it quite breached $42 overnight, but up around about 8% for the week so far. Copper made a little bit of a recovery. Platinum had a bit of a breather. And we saw lithium sort of pull back as well, and uranium was relatively quiet overall. So I dare say in the Aussie market today, there won't be a hell of a lot of movement. I wouldn't have thought. We'll be back to that safety in the market, look, and probably the bank stocks grab a little bit of attention yet again. We did have iron ore recover yesterday, a percent or so. So maybe the miners might have a little bit of buoyancy. We'll certainly see a very nice bid tone in those gold miners, and some of those silver miners as well. So yeah, but just a quick one this morning. There's not really a hell of a lot. We're in very much of a holding pattern until we reach that payrolls number on Friday. I'll do a preview on Friday into those payrolls numbers, and we'll probably be expecting a fairly quiet day. For those of you who missed it, I held Hyperscaling AI free webinar yesterday. It's around the 45-minute mark. You can check out our socials and go to the registration page now, and you can get the full webinar on demand as well as your free investment PDF. We had quite a decent turnout yesterday, about 100 odd people. So, and a lot of, surprisingly, a lot of people stuck it out to the end. Thanks for those who watched. But if you've got any interest in that, it's really that next phase of AI. There's a bunch of stock picks in the ASX, mainly ETF picks there, but also in the US. So, at MPC, we do quite a bit of US business these days. I think our US stocks are now outpacing our ASX business, but one of the only locally based Australian advisors that has a US recommendation service and can execute all that stuff for you. Set up late at night and get your orders done. But if you're interested in having a look, there's probably about 4 or 5 decent picks there in the US, and it's all around the data centers and hyperscaling, the data centers, and a few left field picks there. So for those of you who are interested, have a bit of a look there, and it's all free. But yeah, I dare say we're probably going to be, I think the SPY was down about 0.4 overnight. I would expect that probably to worsen over the course of the day. We've really only got Michelle Bullock on tomorrow night, and I dare say with the inflation rearing its head as it stands at the moment, it's not going to be particularly good news for the rate cut camp. So yeah, we'll probably be drifting lower over the course of the rest of the week and until the big show on Friday for payrolls. But have a great day, everyone, and we'll speak again tomorrow morning.
General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.